An ad is effective when it offers the buyer what they need or desire. A showreel is an ad. It's all about getting hired. You have to sell your services. What does the client get out of it? What does the person who you want to hire you want to see? So join me as I edit my 10th reel. I'm going to share my thoughts, my methods on how you can create a showreel that gets you paid. Alrighty, let's jump into it. Coffee at the ready, water at the ready. So let's start by gathering some of our previous work. You need to search your hard drives for everything and anything so at least you have an overview of what's available. I'm going to start by duplicating last year's showreel folder because you need your best work ever, not just your latest work. Update your reel every 6 to 18 months, or preferably when you have enough quality work to replace a third of the last version. So I'm looking for jobs since the last reel to add to all the work I've already done. In your chosen editing software, we're going to create a rushes timeline and we're going to start dumping any of the best moments. I'll start by copying last year's showreel onto the timeline, delete any titles or music from that. Be a little bit selective, but not too picky. At this point, you want more than you'll need. You'll also usually not include any sequences longer than about 5 shots from any given job, so be ruthless with your favorite projects. Always be thinking about the end viewer and not just your favorite bits. If you're going to work at a production company or a design house, maybe they need to see proficiency, but if you're marketing directly to a client, then they just want to see that you can make their brand look good or tell a good story. So once we have some rushes, let's duplicate that timeline. We're going to call it final. Let's just skip to my favorite bit, picking the music. Unless you're looking to book corporate jobs specifically, be careful to not go too generic. Obviously, you can work within the genre or the industry that you're working in. If you're making hip hop videos, use hip hop. If you're making wedding videos, there's some obvious choices there, but try to not be too obvious. You gotta somehow keep it unexpected. And don't just pick the genre that you like either. We are so bombarded with video content these days that you need to select music that's gonna help you stand out rather than just something that sounds cool. I've picked a few tracks, I've thrown them in a playlist. Let's listen to some of them to see what sticks. Tempo's good. Bit of jazz. So this is my favorite so far. Epic. Good for something, but maybe not for this. It's literally just drums, but if you've got a lot of kind of frenetic energy in your cut. But it's just the right amount of weird, like it's memorable. This next one has cracked me up every time I've heard it, and sometimes just the joy of a track might be enough for me to use it, so here we go. Just makes me happy. Smoothie. Could work. It's very car commercial though. So let's try something really different. So otherworldly. It would be so interesting to see my quite frenetic visuals with this. I think maybe especially if I used a lot of sound effects, you know, like little glitches and like kind of faraway crowd noises. I'd have to put in a lot of work, but that could be cool. This would be really great for like cinematography reels, that kind of thing. I mean, no one sees this coming. I love these, they're really weird. Just kind of got a good vibe, feels really warm. So that could work. Very like Thundercat. Alright, so now I have to decide, and what I'm going to do is I'll pick a few tracks instead of just one, and then I'll play them against the footage. So, by the way, if you want your titles to look just as good as the ones that I've used in this video, then you can get them in the link below. Scando is a little collab between myself and Maddie Hapuya to make your edits quick, easy, and look pro. It's super simple to customize it so it looks unique to you, and with over 30 titles, openers, split screens, and more, this is a no-brainer. Okay, so I downloaded a few tracks, I played them against the rushes, none of them felt quite right, so what I did was I went back and I looked for something else based on what felt the best, and we ended up with this. Okay, length. Never more than 2 minutes. I personally cram my 15 years of work into about 60 seconds, but you can aim for about 45. So I'm going to recut the track to about a minute. You want to grab attention up front. You want to captivate your audience. It's usually called the hook. Think of a showreel as the trailer for the movie of you. And trailers these days have those mini teasers at the front before you see the company logos. You'll also want to top load the reel with your strongest work, but leave just one single arresting image for the very end. Something that is memorable visually. So to be able to decide what I wanted to cut first, I reordered everything from my favorite stuff to my least favorite stuff. And then I filled in the sections that I knew would be unmovable, so tentpole moments where there was a big dynamic shift in the song, or the arresting image at the end, and then I just filled in the rest from there chronologically and see how it felt. Before we play back the edit so far, here are some extra tips. Don't put work in your edit that you don't want to do again. If you, for example, did some corporate work, you absolutely hated it, you could live without the cash, then don't put it in your next reel. You want to use the show reel to get you hired for the things that you love, the things that you enjoy, and the things that you're good at. Think of what you're trying to communicate. If it's your breadth, then include variety. If it's your style, then make sure that every shot is uniquely you. If it's your experience, then maybe include some company logos and find ways to make your longevity obvious. I've included client logos in previous reels, but I wouldn't usually suggest it until you've worked with the biggest clients in your niche. If your future clients will be impressed with your former clients, then absolutely include it. I would avoid lengthy title sequences because whoever's clicked on the video probably already knows what they're about to watch. For me, as a motion designer, I kind of have to include something at least, but if you're making a show reel as a cinematographer, just something nice, understated, over the top of footage works well. Surprises work really well. Like I said before, sound design can go a long way in doing that. Muffled sections, sound effects, that kind of thing. It does take a little bit of extra time though. I'd highly recommend not using popular tracks you don't have a license to, because it becomes such a hassle when YouTube or Instagram keep taking it down. I recommend taking a couple of days to work on your show reel. Sure, you want to cut it as quick as you can, but sleep on it and look at it again the next day. You should absolutely use personal, volunteer, unpaid work in your show reel, as long as you don't imply that you worked for someone. So don't include company logos like Adidas, don't include celebrity faces and that kind of thing. Enough talk, let's watch the edit, and then I have a few ideas on distribution after. Let's go. Alright, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I could have done better. I think I have done better. I can see where I could have improved. It's maybe a little repetitive in parts in terms of styles and looks. But honestly, I'm trying to get it out. I'm trying to get more jobs in. I know I'm going to make another one in 12 months. So in my case, it's good enough. All right, distribution. First up, aspect ratios. Whatever most of your work is in, that's your primary aspect ratio, and that's what your show reel should be cut in. So for me, it would be 16:9 or 2:1, though I have made a lot of stuff in really odd aspect ratios in tool visuals. But consider also cutting an alternate version, so a 4:5 or a 9:16 for social. Because you might have guessed that this reel is absolutely going on social. Post your reel to Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, MySpace, wherever it maybe not MySpace. Wherever it is that you could put a reel, put that reel. When you upload the show reel, make sure that you include your name, the word show reel, the year, and maybe even your job title. You're gonna wanna make it as easy as possible to find. If you're a multifaceted creator, you're gonna want to include what you did on each project. So either overlay on screen, maybe down the bottom, editor or cinematographer or whatever it is you did on that particular shoot, or you can put those things with time codes in the description below the video. Another thing that you could do is just make multiple show reels. If you're a photographer, videographer, model, I don't know, make multiple show reels. I see way too many show reels where they're saying that they do all these things, but me as an employer, I'm only there for the one thing. And sometimes it also gives off the idea that you're not really great at any one particular thing. If you've got friends in the industry, you need some honest feedback. Is something too repetitive? Does it go on too long? Is there not enough dynamics? And usually what they're going to tell you is to move shots around. I really liked this bit, I didn't like this bit as much. So this can all seem a little overwhelming. After doing about 10 of these, I still feel the pressure sometimes. But honestly, just make one. Make your first reel, and it does get a little bit easier every time. And don't take it too seriously. Honestly, you're never going to be able to explain everything that you do and everything that you've done in just 60 seconds. Now, I would love to see what you make, and if you want any feedback, tag me in your reels. But other than that, I just want to say that no matter where you're at in your creative journey, you are loved and you are valuable.